What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new episode. Coach Joe here, and I'm joined by Coach Mark. Typically, it's the coach's corner where we do the podcast on Mondays, but unfortunately, Jimmy is not here. So it's me and Mark, and we're going to make this one a quick one, but probably the most valuable one. And I'll be completely honest. If you're somebody that is not a coaching client, you're going to hear basically how to get in the best shape of your life. Because we're going to be spilling the beans here. We're going to be talking about Heartletics habits. And if you guys have not yet seen some of our successful transformations like Coach Mark's, Coach Brian, Coach Jimmy, Coach Dennis, all these guys, right? We focus on habit-based. I always say it like this is we don't focus on creating, these meal plans that everybody has to follow or these workouts that everybody has to follow. Everybody has specifically different plans. It's all based around their lifestyle, all based around their goals. But on top of that, to help them create habits. See, at the end of the day, we're a firm believer that you can give somebody a fish and feed them for a day, or you can teach somebody how to fish and feed them for the rest of their life. So with that being said, let's teach you guys what we go over and kind of teach our clients. Now, regardless, if you're a member, you're listening to this, you guys know that you have 24/7 support to myself, Coach Mark, in fact, everybody, to where if you ever need adjustments, let's say you're traveling and you need your workouts optimized for your busy schedule. Let's say you're going out to a menu, for example, like Ron, one of our newest members. A few days ago, he posted in the community group a little screenshot of, the menu of where he was going and where he was actually at. And he automatically got some replies right back. So if you're a member, hey, you guys definitely get full access to just say, hey, I need help. I need adjustments. We're there for you to support you every step of the way in your transformation journey. But with that being said, we want to make sure we're teaching you specifically 7 habits that's going to set you up for success. And these habits are the bread and butter, right? The meat and the potatoes, the glue to what Heartletics is and how it's truly going to change and transform your life. And we're going to blitz through all 7. Mark's going to come on here, give you guys some tips and tricks, and just remember to give you guys some value. So with that being said, let's start with our first fat loss habit for success, and that's calories. At the end of the day, we keep it very simple also. You're not going to hear me talk about, having X amount of calories and X amount of calories, because remember, it's all specific for you, but I want you guys to shift your mindset. And I think that's the big foundation of what Heartletics is with these 7 essential fat loss habits. It's getting you guys to think differently. So I'll put it to you like this, right? When it comes down to calories, your body needs food, right? Food equals fuel. And that's the mindset to have. And the best way that you should be thinking about that is like, think about a vehicle, At the end of the day, you got to put gas into that vehicle in order to get it from point A to point B. Well, your body is no different. You're trying to be right here at, let's say, 300 pounds, and you want to get down to 200 pounds, maybe, dropping from 40% body fat to 15, maybe getting off your blood pressure, cholesterol meds. Well, hey, listen, don't just believe it's all calories in versus calories out, because if you're actually under eating and not getting enough calories, you could be actually losing muscle mass. Now, one other way I want you to think about it is like thinking about your body as not just a regular, Honda Civic that's broken down. Treat your body like, your favorite sports car. It's just like, how would you take care of that vehicle? Well, hey, why don't we take care of our bodies the same way? Mark, why don't you kind of share with some of the members, for example, right? Because I know in the very beginning, they're probably thinking like, man, this is a lot of food, right? This is hard for me to eat. And, we hear it all the time about them feeling kind of full and bloated at times. But what do we always say about, calories and metabolism and just to help them out?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, it's normal, right? Everyone goes through that where when they start the program, they feel like this is a lot of food and they're feeling bloated. And that's because your metabolism needs to catch up and speed up. So it's perfectly normal. It's going to happen. Eventually, you're going to want more food. So, so don't worry about that. As far as like tips and tricks to actually, hit those numbers, plan ahead. And what I mean by that is not that you have to spend, 14 hours in the kitchen meal prepping. I never do that. What I mean by plan ahead is just think about what you're going to eat over the course of the day. Our app makes it real simple to kind of, keep track of what you're doing. It's also very easy to kind of plug things in a little in advance. So you can say like, okay, I got an idea of what I'm having for breakfast and lunch. Let me put that in, see what it does to the numbers. I always call it food Tetris because you can kind of say, oh no, wait, this isn't good for the numbers, pull things out, put them in. So just spend a little bit of time, and I'm not talking, all day, just a little bit of time thinking about what your day is going to look like. And that way you're kind of setting yourself up for success, tracking towards your goals.
I love that. Beautiful tip. And my tip for the members is, hey, everybody has felt like that. So one of the best parts about Heartletics, the cornerstone, is your battle buddies, right? The community group. So if you have, questions, or maybe you're kind of worried about anything, like, man, what are some better ways to stay within my plus or minus of 200 calories from my calorie goal that we have set up for you? Go to the community group. I'm pretty sure, Mark can give you some tips. I can give you some tips, but there's hundreds of guys in there that can also give you specific recommendations to also help best fit in your lifestyle. Now, the second fat loss habit for success is your macros, your macronutrients. Specifically, right? There's proteins, there's carbs, there's fats, fourth one, alcohol, but we're not going to talk about that on today's episode. And in fact, we're not even going to talk about the fats. We're not even going to talk about the carbs, because we don't even want you guys worried about that. Even the type 2 diabetics that we help, reverse their diabetes, we don't even, get them so fixated on the carbs, fixated on the fats, none of that. We keep it simple. Mark, why do we keep it simple and just have guys focus specifically on the protein?
Because protein is much higher on the thermogenic food scale, meaning that protein is going to help your body burn fat more easily, because your body works harder to metabolize it and digest it. So, it's kind of one of the cornerstones of what we do is, a high protein diet.
Yeah, plain and simple. And when it comes to, better aiding in you hitting your protein goal, there's so many different recommendations in this. We always advocate about going to the community group, asking, because some guys, they try their best to hit their protein goal through all whole foods, which is great. But then there's other guys like me and maybe you, Mark, where, hey, we focus a lot on protein bars, protein powders, different things like that to just make it a little bit easier. So my biggest recommendation when it comes to hitting your specific protein goal, and if you are somebody that's from the outside listening right now, listen, keep it simple, right? 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you're around 200 pounds, try your best to have at least 200 grams of protein a day. It's going to help you burn more body fat. It's going to help you put on some more lean muscle tissue to really help speed up your metabolism faster. And one of the best ways, in my opinion, is focusing on the 2x2x2 method. Now, this is going to sound and scare a lot of people out there, especially if they're like, that's so much processed food and that's unhealthy. But at the end of the day, like, if you're over 30% body fat and you're going to eat more protein, regardless if this is coming from processed foods, it's going to help you in the long run more than what you've been doing before. Okay. So the 2x2x2 method is just the simplest way, in my opinion. And this is what we kind of coach and teach all of our clients to do. It's kind of following with the protein sparing diet a little bit, but not specifically. And so for anybody out there that has a hard time hitting their protein goal and looking for just easier ways to better aid in that, follow this method. Okay. So 2x2x2. And that simply means you're going to have at least 2 protein shakes a day. But here's the key. Every time you're having a protein shake, don't just put in 1 scoop, put in 2 scoops. I'm a big fan of Ghost Chips Ahoy protein. Mark, I know you are too. I love that to death. So I'll have like protein coffee. I'll put a scoop of that into like my my Greek yogurt. It just makes life super, super easy. But if you have a good quality tasting protein powder like that, or anything that you enjoy having, it's perfectly fine to have 2 protein shakes a day. And remember, double up on the protein scoops, because now realistically, if 1 shake, right, or 1 scoop is about 20, 25 grams, and let's say you're having, 2 scoops in there, well, now 1 shake could be anywhere from, 40 to 50 grams of protein. You obviously have another one of that. That's another 40 to 50 grams of protein right there. And then the last 2, that 2x2x2, is 2 protein bars. Now, when it comes down to a protein bar, is keep it simple. I'm not a big fan of like metrics bars that are like 400 calories, 30 grams of protein. It's like you're better off on just having a small meal. So things like Built bars, or, those legendary, right, little Pop-Tarts and little cinnamon rolls, like things like that are convenient, Quest bars even, right? Bear-Bells, stuff like that. So my rule of thumb is stick within a protein bar that's roughly around 180 calories to about 250 calories, and around, or at least I should say, 20 grams of protein. So if you can follow that, it's just going to help aid you, right? I'm not saying just live your life all by protein bars and protein powders. Like, no, obviously, like, you want to eat whole foods in there as well, but it's going to help aid you when it comes to hitting your protein goal, especially if you haven't been doing that in quite some time. So it's going to be hard at first, but having supplements is a lot more easier to digest than eating a whole bunch of chicken breasts and a whole bunch of steak and whatnot. Now, let's go to the third fat loss habit for success, strength training, right? And so at the end of the day, this is not the biggest aspect to our coaching program, because what we always tell and educate our guys is that the working out aspect is literally just the icing on the cake. It's like 10% of it, 90% is what goes into you. And I don't mean just the nutrition. I mean, what goes into your mindset too. Like literally, that's a big foundation of Heartletics is the mindset. But when it comes down to resistance training, we like to focus on progressive overload. Mark, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, as far as you were talking about the sprinkles on the cake, right? Resistance training should be, like you said, the add-on to the nutrition, but it should be something that you enjoy, something that you make a daily habit that works for you. So if you're a Heartletics client and you have, particular concerns about certain exercises or parts of your program that aren't enjoyable to you, aren't working for you, just let us know, because communication is key, and we will swap or make changes or adjustments, on the fly based on what works for you. As far as progressive overload, right, you want to be increasing that weight when possible. If you're not at the max, if you're hitting the max rep range and you're still got a little more gas in the tank, right, put some more weight into the next set so that you're building that up, each set. And that's what we mean by progressive overload.
Yeah. And there's going to be plenty of times where you can't increase the weight every single week and every single workout. So you want to focus on either more volume or, decrease the amount of, rest in between each set. So there's plenty of ways to skin a cat. What we primarily like to focus on, especially with guys that's, either working at home with weights or at the gym, is also just make sure that they're training each muscle group at least twice per week, but I think, that's once again, just the sprinkles. What you said in the beginning, Mark, really is what guys need to understand is that one, they have to be doing something that they enjoy. And two, it has to best suit their schedule. If they're working out religiously every single day and, it's 4 hours in the gym and it's just like they spend no time with their families, that's not what we want, and that's actually something that we go against, because we know a lot of other programs and fitness coaches that talk about becoming that gym rat, and you have to look a certain way. And means you have to, jeopardize your whole entire lifestyle to be like that. And instead at Heartletics, we like to focus on creating a plan that works best for somebody's lifestyle. Now, let's go to the fourth one, which in my opinion, and probably your opinion as well, this is our favorite fat loss habit, and this is NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Now, we get asked all the time, like, Joe, how much cardio should we do to burn body fat and et cetera, right? We don't focus on cardio at all. Like, I'm not saying cardio is bad for you, right? I'm just saying it's not the end all be all. Cardio is just specifically a tool to help you, right, stay in a calorie deficit. There's 3 different types of cardio. There's your LISS, which is low intensity, steady state cardio. So like going for a walk or something like that. The second one is MISS, moderate intensity, steady state cardio. So you're elliptical, you're going for a jog, your stair climb, or whatever the case may be. And the last one is like HIIT interval training. So that's where it's like 20 seconds on, 10 and 15 seconds off. So your burpees, your sprints, your jumping jacks, just, getting the body moving. And they all have different pros and cons, right? Like obviously in a short time frame, you're going to burn more calories with HIITs compared to, LISS, going for a walk. But at the end of the day, what we always talk about is something that you can sustain, something that works best for your lifestyle. And Mark, what is the habit that we always like, or at least we always like to try to focus guys working towards when it comes to the needs to make it very easy for them to burn body fat?
10,000 steps a day, or, walking, basically, just keep moving. And, some people think that means, 10,000 steps consecutively. It doesn't have to be, you could be breaking that up into small chunks throughout the day, to make it work in your busy schedule. Perhaps you are at an office and it means taking a walk at lunch, getting up every hour or so, and doing a little walking around the office or to the bathroom or whatever it is that works for you in your context, in your daily schedule, to just make sure that by the end of the day, you're at around 10,000 steps. And if steps don't work for you, like Coach Joe said, there's many ways to skin a cat. You could do some, push-ups or sit-ups while you're, spending some time with the family watching TV or whatever. Just get some extra movement in above and beyond the standard.
Yep, exactly. And simple things too, right? Parking farther away from the grocery store or parking farther away from work, taking the stairs rather than the elevator. Things like that really do add up. And cardio, right? It's great for your heart. But at the end of the day, just like get up and move. A lot of people that are sedentary, they sit down all day, at work or maybe at home as well. They got a lot of back problems, right? They got a lot of issues going on. And so just this having routine where maybe every hour, maybe every other hour, whatever the case may be, get up and moving could also help relieve you from some of your injuries. Now, the fifth one, this is the one that everybody doesn't like because in the beginning you're constantly peeing all day long. But there are so many benefits to hydration. Okay. So many benefits. If you guys want to really learn how to have sustained energy, focus on drinking more water, right? There's so many benefits. It also helps relieve some inflammation in your body, helps, obviously just more cushion for like, let's say your joints, different things like that. Obviously brain focus, as we mentioned, right? Clearer skin, but I cannot kid you not that hydration works so much also in a form of recovery. If you find yourself just constantly eating and not, hydration, not drinking a whole lot of water, you might be dealing with, some cortisol levels being elevated because your body's not getting all the hydration needs. Your organs need hydration, right? Like a lot plays in the fact of like just staying more hydrated. Mark, what would you say about, one of our hydration goals and what are some tips on helping guys, hit that number?
Yeah, I mean, typically we're looking for around a gallon of water a day if you can do that. That's the goal we look for. As far as tips, a lot of us have I left mine in the other room, but like a demarcated bottle. So basically it's kind of giving you, there you go. So basically it's kind of showing you right at, different points of day where you should be at, in your water intake so that by the end of the day you're at the gallon. I find that really helpful. A lot of people, we there's nothing wrong with adding 0-calorie flavor to it if that helps you get more water in. What I tend to do is like drink water straight from that bottle. But if I want to add some flavor, right, I'll pour it into another glass and add some flavor so that I'm still keeping track of where I'm at on that demarcation so that I still, coming from the same source so I can track my gallon. And as far as, having to pee a lot, just think you're getting extra steps.
Yeah, for sure. And shameless plug, let's give Coach Dennis a big shout out because he's the one that got everybody hip to the gallon of water jug on Amazon. So Dennis, if you're listening to this, man, shout out to you, brother.
Amazon sends a shout out to you too.
yeah, for sure. Jeff Bezos is making some money. But another thing to help you guys out with, the peeing so much is just like try your best to get that water in as much as you can before, let's say 6 p.m. I try to get the majority of my water in before the evening time. So that way I'm not up, in the middle of the night, constantly peeing throughout and disturbing my sleep because that's huge. And that's one of our habits that we're going to go over here in a little bit. But yeah, on top of that, like I said, hydration is one of those things where you want to make sure you're trying your best to hit that water goal. Also, there's so many times where you might be feeling kind of hungry. Who knows? Maybe you're actually just feeling thirsty and you're actually dehydrated. So drinking plenty of water is going to help you out with that. Now, the sixth one, right? I should say six. Yep. Six. There we go. Is probably the hidden one. And this is also 7 going into that, a hidden one as well. So guys, really listen to what we're about to say here. And the 6th fat loss habit for success is stress management. And we cannot stress this out the most simply because when you're when you're underneath a lot of stress, you have higher amounts of cortisol. And it's hard, very hard for your body to burn body fat because think of it, this cortisol, right? Your hormone for stress is going to be helping out in other areas to try to just like relieve that stress. So it's going to be taking off your body doing what it should be doing. And that's focusing on getting healthier, and not to focus on so much of body functions, but also just mentally, emotionally. There's a lot of stress that people deal with, right? Stuff happens at home, stuff happens at work. And what I typically find is that guys just don't have anybody in their corner, to release some of this stress. And that's honestly, once again, why our community groups is probably the biggest cornerstone to the success, is because now when you're dealing with any kind of stress, you have these groups that you can go to, where you can, share this with the other guys, or in a private situation where you want to share with me directly or with just our coaches, like, guys, I need help. And sometimes that help is just venting and getting off your chest. And this is a big aspect to what really helps guys. And what I like to say this about stress all the time is guys carry all the burdens, right? They carry all the stress for themselves, carry all the stress for, at home, carry all the stress at work. And it's kind of just like that ego where guys feel like, oh, I'm a man. I don't need to, relieve myself of these emotions. I don't need events. I got this. But what happens is it's a bunch of crap inside of you, right? Like, let's just say Coca-Cola. And what happens when you take a little Mentos and you drop it into the top of a Coca-Cola bottle? It's going to fizzle up and it's going to explode. And sometimes when we're dealing with all this stress in our life, maybe your kid says something to you, maybe something happens to you at work, and it's that little straw that breaks the camel's back where you just, break down. And it's kind of like that Mentos that drops into a Coca-Cola. And so, having guys in your corner that really support you and can be there for you helps out tremendously with just relieving that crap and making sure it's all water. So if there's ever a Mentos dropped in, hey, you know how to better aid in the situation so you don't explode. Now, Mark, with you, focusing a lot with the mindset, right? There's lots of different techniques to kind of help relieve of that stress. What would you say has been a few to kind of help you out?
I mean, I'd say one of the main things that I've found just overall increases the positivity of my mindset, including relieving stress, is gratitude. Just start the day every day, 10 things you're grateful for. It's amazing how it rewires you towards positive thinking. It has a bigger effect than you'd ever realize. That's one. The other one I'd say is meditation. Spend some quiet time, put some quiet music on, some binaural beats, if that works for you, whatever kind of works for you to get you in that zone, and just focus on your breathing. And it really, really, helps to relieve the stress. And, if you need help with that, let us know. We can suggest some recommended guided meditations or some information to read or other ways to get into it. But it's greatly enhanced my overall mental state.
Yeah, especially if you're brand new and you just got signed up, right? You're probably on this program to lose some weight, burn some body fat, look good with your shirt off, right? But you're going to learn, right, with the coaches and probably some of the other members talking about gratitude, meditation, affirmations. You're going to learn so much about the mindset. And we know it's always hard at the beginning, especially if you're somebody that, you never really focused that before in your life. Start off small, start off slow. And what Mark said about gratitude is, once again, probably the easiest way to throw some positivity in your life. And so what we recommend is having just a journal, right? We don't consider it a diary. We consider it just a journal, a gratitude journal, where, hey, first thing in the morning, you're just writing down the things that you're grateful for. Leave it at that. Or just before your feet hit the floor, as soon as you wake up, just think about 5 things that you're grateful for. That's it. And just like Mark said, when you start off your day with what you're grateful for, it's going to expand on that. And there's going to be a lot more positivity to come into your life, which will help lower those cortisol levels down and help relieve you of some of that stress. Now, our 7th fat loss habit for success is sleep. And this is another one that a lot of guys typically struggle with just because they don't prioritize it. And I'm actually one to blame here. I'm one that, has decided, like, I got to, shut the computer down a little bit earlier and start prioritizing this on a little bit more, just because more and more studies have shown that, literally just sleeping more is ideal for just helping increasing testosterone levels, lowering cortisol levels down, full function as far as just like, relieving that stress and recovery properties go. But at the same time, like, think about it from this perspective. I don't know about you guys, but at least for me, if let's say I'm struggling with sleep, 4, 3 hours, 5 hours, whatever the case may be, I'm not getting a good night's sleep. I know it's way easier for me to not be exact with my nutrition. Why? Because I didn't fully recover. So my willpower is a lot lower. So it's way easier for me to go eat some crap that I probably shouldn't. Way easier for me to go, feed the bad wolf, right? When I get those sweet tooth temptations and not, focus on hitting my nutritional goals. Way easier for me to also, if let's say I had a bad night's sleep or I didn't get to sleep enough and I'm really, really tired, really groggy, it's way easier for me once again to not go to the gym. So I make sure that, especially right now, where I'm at as a business owner, where I'm at as a father, a husband, like sleep is, in my opinion, in this form of my life, the number one focus of these 70 essential fat loss habits that I'm focusing on right now to really optimize my life, really optimize my recovery as well. Mark, what would you say about sleep and recovery?
I think similar to some of the other things we talked about, it's important to have like a routine and habits to encourage that. And that means when you get in bed, it's sleep time. So,
Yeah.
I used to be, addicted to the news before I went to sleep, and I'd have the news on going to sleep, and I'd end up not falling asleep because I'd be wrapped up in it. And so, no more TV at night. Try and stay off your devices, a little while before bedtime so that you kind of start shutting that down. For me, a couple of things I like to do. I typically like to read a little in bed. I find that starts, after a little bit of reading, I start to get kind of sleepy and drift off. And times when I am really struggling to get some sleep, I'll get some earbuds in and I'll listen to either some, sleep hypnosis or some guided meditation or even just some quiet beats. And I find that really helps, as well, when I'm struggling to get the sleep in. It just puts me in that right tone and puts me right out.
Yeah, I love all those tips. I love all those tips. I think turning off technology, 30, 60 minutes before you go to sleep is huge. So turn off the phone, right? Don't go on social media, turn off the TV. I think that's very, very helpful. And also with you said about like the reading and the beats and the sleep hypnosis, it calms you down, right? It gets you not focused so much about the next day or what has happened, right? Because at the time, that's where a lot of stress and anxiety comes from. And so it just calms you down. And a little pro tip here, this is what we give, everybody to do and tell everybody to, focus on is like, hey, sleepy time tea. Sleepy time tea is the bee's knees, the goat. If you're somebody that's struggling with sleep, honestly, go to your local grocery store, go to the tea aisle, and you will find sleepy time tea. Have that before you go to sleep. It's great. Put in a little bit of honey, right? Because honey is a great, aid for testosterone levels as well. It's just very smoothing, right? It's very relaxing. And it's like what you said, it kind of puts you in that drowsy state as well to just aid in a better night's sleep. And what we always recommend is, hey, trying your best to get in at least 7 to 8 hours if you can, right? I know for me, sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's 7, but on average, I'm trying my best to be about that 7 to 8 hour sweet spot. In fact, they did a study. Guys that slept on average 8 hours compared to 5 hours had up to 20% more natural free testosterone. And once again, there's a lot of principles that show that sleeping is very, very beneficial for fat loss. And that's why it's one of our fat loss habits. So that's it. Guys, that's the secret sauce. Plain and simple. And shameless plug, Mark. So what happened when you focus on doing all of these 7 essential fat loss habits?
In my initial 12 weeks, I lost 37 pounds. I dropped a ton of body fat, and became just an overall happier, better person.
And where were you starting off with your weights, right?
I
And
started
body
off
fat compared to right now?
started off at 257 pounds. My most recent weigh-in was just over 165. And I've gone from about 35% body fat to right around 15%.
Yeah, that's awesome. Guys, if you're somebody that's brand new, you just got signed up, right? You're probably wondering, like, oh, where's the secret sauce? Like, these guys are just making me eat all the foods that I've been eating constantly, just a little bit more protein and, doing some workouts. Like, trust me, there is no secret sauce. Like, this is it. The Heartletics habits is what's going to set you up for success. Because remember, we're here to teach you. We're here to guide you. This is what coaching is and why it's different from, fad diets and programs out there where it's one size fits all cookie cutter. And if you're somebody from the outside listening in, well, hey, you just heard exactly how we coach our clients. But obviously, there's a lot more that goes into that. You heard Mark say about 24/7 supports, how we're scanning over restaurant menus, how we're constantly making adjustments for people on the fly if they have injuries or, best suits their schedule. And on top of that, you mix all that support in with probably the world's best community group. You're setting yourself up for success. That's all I got to say. So if you're somebody from the outside listening in, hey, go to heartletics.com, download our free fat loss guide that's actually going to go over these habits and a little bit more about our mindset, or set up a free, assessment call and just see if maybe we can help you achieve your goals. With that being said, this has been Coach Joe and Coach Mark with the Heartletics podcast. We'll talk to you guys next time. Peace out, Girl Scouts.